Hello and welcome back to the Hoof Football Podcast, where I'm your host Ben, and today I'm joined by my good friend Josh, my good friend Charlie, and my good friend Lewis as well, who does look like he's been held hostage. He's not; he's just back at home. Lewis, how are they treating you?
It's all good, mate. Yeah, it's been a nice. I have briefly lost my voice, so if it's a bit squeaky, I apologise to the viewers. But yeah, it's been good back home. Obviously, Chelsea lost 3-0, so luckily I didn't get to see it, and my Wi-Fi's down, so it's not been great. But we move, we're here.
Yeah, we move, we move. At least you didn't see your team get bad. Okay,
Exactly.
Charlie did whole loss this weekend, right? Sheffield United, Danny Ings led.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they were 1-0 up until John Lundstrom got a red card, and then from there it just went downhill. We're glad that Wrexham bottled their game against Birmingham. They lost 2-0. But yeah, it's looking interesting in the Championship. I think Middlesbrough are in a real struggle at the moment.
I'm also glad that Wrexham lost because I was getting worried because if they'd won, they'd only be 5 points behind us. And I saw we've picked up 11 points in 11 games, and that's troubling.
Doesn't look great.
No, it's not great. It's not great. Speaking of not great, Josh, Burnley is shit. How are you doing?
Yeah, nothing's changed, pal.
No,
I think our fans aren't even angry anymore. It's just right. It is what it is.
it is what it is. Have you
Uh,
who did you play? I genuinely don't know who you played this weekend.
we had Brighton, and
Oh, that was it. Yeah, you lost
we
two.
scored twice. Both of them ruled back offside by VAR
Oh,
because Anthony's elbow was offside. You know, I think he can't score with. Um, and then one like Humphrey's leg hair was offside, so that was then called off. So
I mean, it works for me. I've got Bart Verbruggen in my FPL team, so
yep.
appreciate it. Appreciate the Premier League refereeing there. Okay, well. Today, we're talking about probably the main story at the minute, which is coming out of Liverpool, right? Because as I'm sure we all know by now, Mo Salah and Andy Robertson have both confirmed their departures at the end of the season. Okay, but it's not just that, right? It is kind of all change at Liverpool come the end of the season, right? So Konate's yet to sign a new deal, albeit with reports stating he's pretty far down the line to signing a new one now. No, equally, contracts expire at the end of next season include Alisson, Van Dijk, Joe Gomez, Curtis Jones and Watu Rendo as well. Connor Bradley, I think. No, not Connor Bradley. Calvin Ramsey, the shit one. So it's all changed. Add on to that, right? The possible future of Arne Slot being up in the air, and things start to look a little bit messy on the red side of the River Mersey. So, with all that in mind, okay, today I'm going to be playing the role of sporting director Richard Hughes, as the lads here are all going to pitch me how the side's going to line up and who with, really, come the end of the transfer window under newly appointed manager Xabi Alonso. Actually, we've just assumed he's been appointed, so we'll get into it. Josh, we're going to start with you, mate. How are the team looking? Come, September.
Um, obviously we've seen with Xabi Alonso before. Obviously at Bayer Leverkusen, he did like to play five back. Um, Although he didn't do that at Real Madrid, I feel like that was a personnel choice um, with the players he had available and stuff like that. And so I think at Liverpool, with especially the fullbacks he's got, I feel like he's going to switch back to that five back. I think he'll stick with Alisson for this season and probably bring in a younger goalkeeper to prepare him for if Alisson wants to move on. The wing backs will be Frimpong, obviously someone Xabi Alonso knows so well. Kirkes, who's known for his attacking side more rather than his defensive side, let's say. Um, and then I think his three centre halves will be Leone, the young Italian, who obviously did snap his knee at the start of this year, but he looked bright whenever he did play. I think he'll stick with Van Dijk, and I think he'll bring Kwanzaa back. There's a 40 million buyback clause for Liverpool, and they'll get first dibs on him pretty much. Xabi Alonso signed him at Leverkusen, but obviously left to go to Real Madrid before he could play him. And obviously he's had a really good year for Leverkusen by all accounts. Obviously getting called up to the England squad and stuff like that. I feel like the midfield three will probably not. I don't want to say stay the same, but will be the same personnel of Gravenberch, Slobosai, and obviously Verts. Obviously another player he knows so well. Hopefully that can unlock him a little bit more. Obviously where his struggles have been this year, and I think the front two will be Ekitike and Isak. Watching them two combine well. Obviously, we talk about the front three we've had for so long, but I feel like when you're getting rid of Salah and especially Isak, who will want to play up top, Ekitike will both want to play up top, so I feel like they might go with both. In terms of summer signings, obviously we talked about Kwanzaa a minute ago. Um, I think possibly another centre back, depending on the Canate stance. If he signs, or maybe even another one just in case Van Dijk did decide to cash in on Van Dijk. But we'll definitely need full-back cover. But I also know Kostas Tsimikas is out on loan. So I don't know if there's a buyout clause for that and stuff like that. So if he's about, maybe we'll keep hold of him. I think we'll bring 2 new attackers in for cover, especially if we're going with 2 strikers such as Isak and Ekitike. But obviously, we spoke about leaving as well. We know about Salah Robertson. I put possibly Canate on this list. I think Gakpo will go if he's not guaranteed the minutes. And Chiesa, who's not exactly had his best of years at Liverpool, kind of underused a little bit. I think this will finally be the year when he moves on.
Mm. Interesting. I will say they've already obviously got Jeremy Jacquet coming in the following season as another centre back option, right? So you mentioned another centre back; they've got him coming in anyway. Quance is an interesting one. I don't know how he's been doing at Leverkusen, but that's an interesting one, to be fair. What was your reasoning for bringing him back?
From obviously, I won't lie to you, just scrolling through Twitter, but as we've decided this topic to kind of see like the outgoings on the slot and stuff like that. Bayer Leverkusen fans seem to rate him, and obviously he's found himself in the England squad, and I think he's played once or twice, and he's for England, and he's looked a different player compared to what we saw in the Premier League a year ago, let's say. He looked a lot more confident on the ball and stuff like that, and especially a player who will know the club. I feel like that might be good, especially for Team Morale maybe. So I feel like now he's grown into and knows how to play that centre half position a little bit better. He might be one to bring back in, especially if he's playing so well in a different league.
Okay. Yeah, I think the centre backs would be the only worry for me there. But like Leone did look good in that game that he played. He just then snapped his knee and he's like 18, right? And I haven't watched Kwanzaa for a year. But to be fair, like the rest of the team, I do like. I feel like a lot of the rest of the team is probably going to be quite similar. I mean, Charlie, I want to hear yours. It's going to be interesting to see if you've done a similar thing, if you're proposing strengthening elsewhere, if you're going for that back three. Like, what's the plan?
I did consider it because, again, as Josh said, that's what Alonso did at Leverkusen, was play at a 3 or, well, 5 at the back. I've gone different in goal. I feel like really it could either be Alisson or Mamadashvili. I think the thing is with Mamadashvili, I know he's probably going to be most likely more linked to moving elsewhere, but I just feel as if he's probably going to get in and start. But I feel like it doesn't really matter with the keeper. It's more in terms of the outfield plays. So I've actually gone with a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3. And similar to Josh, my fullbacks are Jeremy Frimpong and Milos Kerkez, just because I think Alonso likes to rely on attacking fullbacks, so it gives something for Liverpool going forward. Defence, I think we'll see Van Dijk in there. And I've seen like a few rumours that Liverpool are scouting out the likes of Schlotterbeck. And I just see him potentially fitting into the Liverpool defence quite well if he does come in. I think he's done rather well when he's been at Borussia Dortmund. The midfield, so I think Gravenberch will stay. I think Szoboszlai will stay. I don't know what to think of Curtis Jones just yet. I'm thinking maybe he could move on elsewhere during the summer. I'm not entirely sure at the moment, which is why I think they'll bring in a different central midfielder, someone who's a very good playmaker who can, well, play more of like a deep line playmaker, since that's what Alonso did rely on when he was at Leverkusen. So I've gone with Camavinga. I think they may sign him just because, again, I mean, he was there when Alonso was there at Real Madrid, has a bit of experience with knowing how he plays, his certain abilities, how he could be of use with this Liverpool squad. I think I could maybe see Camavinga or potentially Tchouaméni coming in as well. One of the Real Madrid centre mids out of those two. At right wing, again, someone who's picked up a bit of interest. We know that Salah's leaving. Someone needs to cover that right wing. There's a young player from Leipzig, Jan Diamande, who has been doing really well in the Bundesliga. I could potentially see him joining Liverpool. He may not start straight away, but I feel like gradually as time goes on, as his first season goes on with Liverpool, he's going to make a sudden impact, and I think he'll bang in a few goal involvements. Left wing, I've seen there's been recent reports of is it Krupi from Bournemouth that's had like a bit of a like potential sort of thing of arriving at Liverpool potentially in the summer, depending on the transfer fee they give for Bournemouth. So I went with Krupi, and then up front, it's a bit of a difficult one because I mean you've got Isak who hasn't performed well this season. You've got Ekitike who's done pretty well. You've also got Gakpo who I think will stay, but there's always that chance where he could leave. So with striker, it's either one of those three, but I do think he will use Isak, considering that they paid an absolute fortune for him. It's just hoping that he's going to actually bag goals this season and obviously not get injured. So with some of the signings that I think Liverpool are going to bring in, as I said before, with the likes of Schlotterbeck, Camavinga, Yan Diomande, I was thinking maybe if, let's say, Kirkes doesn't do well, I don't know why, but I feel like they're going to maybe bring in someone experienced like Denzel Dumfries from Inter. I think that could be something quite interesting. And another one, I mean, I thought maybe if they didn't bring Schlotterbeck in, potentially someone experienced like Bastoni as well. I realise these are just players from Inter, but I do think these could maybe fit into the Liverpool squad. And then as for players' departure, and obviously Salah, Konate, Robertson look like they're all going to be going. As I said before, Curtis Jones, I think, will be another one that will probably be departing from Liverpool. And as I agree with Josh before, I think Chiesa is going to be going. I think he's really not had a lot of game time. He's really not shown enough at Liverpool compared to how he did with Juventus and Fiorentina. I just think he's going to be better off somewhere else rather than Liverpool. So yeah, that's what I've sort of gone with.
Curtis Davies, by the way, what a throwback.
Yeah.
My main worry with that, when I'm putting my sporting director hat on, is you're spending a lot of money. Like a lot, those signings are going to be a lot of money, and you're definitely not using one of Ekitike and Isak, and you didn't even mention Florian Wirtz, who we've just spent like 100.
Oh my, sorry, I was meant to say in like a rotation of Wirtz and Szoboszlai. I don't know how I missed him out.
Like
I can't change it now. Yeah,
not gonna lie to you, that worries me because that's like minimum £200 million of signings that are just squad players, and I'm not a fan of that. If I'm honest, Chocks to me, that worries me.
That's fair.
Especially if you're then going to drop a bomb on Camavinga and Yan Diomande, who are going to be a lot of money. Krupi's not going to be cheap. Like, you know. Also, did you mention you were going to play Dumfries at left back as a backup?
Potentially, depending on how Kirkes may do. If Dumfries, let's say, I don't know. I think that's the thing. I feel like he's going to rely on Kirkes. I just think that maybe there's that option where he might end up buying Dumfries to have him as like rotating with Kirkes. But I don't know. It's up to you, sporting director.
I don't think Denzel Dumfries has ever played a professional game at left back.
No.
So
is it more like left wing back? All right, fair enough.
He's a right back, mate.
Yeah.
So
I've got my players mixed up then. Whoops.
Did you mean DeMarco?
I think I meant DeMarco. Yeah, I don't know why I've said Dumfries. Yeah, it would. I probably did mean DeMarco, but again, that would actually make more sense as well in terms of rotating with Kirkes on the left hand side.
Yeah, I mean, like in theory, that team slaps, right? Because you've got Diomande and Krupi on either wing. You add Camavinga to that midfield. You add like Schlotterbeck or Bastoni, and it's incredible. But you're talking about spending another like 300 mil, Charlie, when we've just dropped about that in the last window. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. I think currently Josh is winning just because of the affordability plan. Like, I think Josh was only signing Jarrell Kwanzaa. So
that's fair enough.
As a sporting director who's just spent a lot of money, I quite like that. Plus, he didn't even mention Konate, and Konate is probably sticking about, and he's probably better than Leone. So the defence is okay. Lewis, I want to hear yours because we've had kind of the two extremes at this point of someone spending no money, someone spending, the tea lady's wages for the next 100 years. Let's hear yours, Lewis.
Yeah, I'd hope to some extent mine's a little bit more in the middle, but we'll see. So I've gone with Alisson, obviously, in goal. I think that at least for another season, he's going to stay at the club. I've then gone for the same again, Frimpong and Kirkes, but I've gone for a back three, thinking that Xabi Alonso obviously was used to that at previous clubs like Bayer Leverkusen, obviously where he won the Bundesliga. I've gone with Jeremy Jacquet. They spent 63 million on him from Rennes, and I think that he's going to be someone that's been out on loan, well, since January when they signed him, and then he's kind of ready and got some game time to come into the team. I think it might be a little bit early for Leone, so he's not in my back three at the moment, but obviously he's a player that would come into the fold in terms of on the bench. I think Van Dijk keeps his place at least for another season, maybe sees out his contract, unless Saudi tempt him. And then I've gone for Edmund Tapsoba, formerly known at Bayer Leverkusen with Xabi Alonso. Van de Ven is a cheaper alternative that I've seen floating about as a rumour. Obviously, if Spurs go down, he would get that kind of cheaper cut price fee. Tapsoba is apparently rumoured to be about 35 million up to about 45, 50 million. So it's not ridiculously expensive at this point, but he's the one centre-back that I can see them signing. Midfield-wise, I think you don't need to go out really at this point and sign any midfielders. So I've kept McAllister and Gravenberg as my kind of two. The likes of Szoboszlai would be on my bench or rotate with one of those two. I've then gone for two wingers in. I did look at Yan Diomande, who I saw had a release clause or something around 87.5 million. I felt that a cheaper alternative at this point that's got Premier League experience with Yankuba Minter, who Arne Slot was definitely looking at from obviously being at Liverpool right now. And I think that potentially he might not be the most clinical and obviously have the output in front of goal, but I think that he's a cheaper kind of alternative at this point that might be someone that can rotate with who they've already got, like a Gakpo or like Rio. And then I've stuck with basically Gakpo on the left. So I've got Minter and Gakpo basically, and then up front it would be interchanging between Isak and Ekitike, one of the two slotting in, similar to what they did at the start of the season before Slot started to rotate and have two up front. I haven't really fitted Wirtz in again, which is a problem, I suppose, seeing as they spent 120 mil on him. He possibly can play left midfield, left wing, where I've got Gakpo, but I'm not too sure how comfortable he's in that position. And then elsewhere, other signings, potentially I can see they've been linked with, I think he's called Ordonez, who's at Club Brugge, who's a young potential kind of centre-back. He might be able to be someone that could rotate, get a little bit of game time behind who they've already got. As Josh already said, it kind of depends on whether Konate ends up leaving is the big point with the centre-backs. But that's kind of my team. I don't see them going mental in terms of packing the midfield with new players and maybe one player to replace Salah. But I don't see anything major up front either.
See, my thing with like a direct Salah replacement is how the hell do you replace Salah? That's why I kind of like what Josh has done in terms of the two strikers, where you're not putting a lot of pressure on bringing in like a Yankuba Minter or a Yan Diomande. You know, you're bringing in a young player and then going, right, go on, replace Mo Salah. Like that's one thing that I'm leaning towards Josh's with. Equally, the fact that he's used Florian Wirtz, like that's the front runner at the minute. So I'm going to give Charlie Lewis. I'm going to give you, one last final statement to try and sway me, try and convince me not to go with Josh, because as much as I think the centre backs are relatively weak, I mean, Josh, would I be correct in saying if Konate sticks around, he starts over Leone?
Yeah, 100%. It's one of that. Obviously, you plan for the worst, don't you? Obviously, we don't know what's going on with his contract, so I don't want to put him in. He's gone Real Madrid or something. Well,
to be fair, as sporting director, I do, but I'm not at liberty to release that on this podcast, so we'll keep it under wraps. Charlie, give me like a 20-second roundup of what should convince me to go with your plan, mate.
I think even though my squad looks very expensive, especially with the signings coming in, I can tell you now, I'll put my job on the line within the first 6 months, and if Liverpool are not top of the league, I'm happy to get the sack. I'm happy to part ways. I think that the players will make an impact. I think, again, having like a centre-back partnership as Schlotterbeck and Van Dijk will almost be unstoppable. You'll be almost basically getting clean sheets. Camavinga is such an influential player, I think, that could come in and really just boss the midfield. And I mean, I may have missed Wirtz out, but there's always that thing where I can rotate Wirtz, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai all around, as well as McAllister as well. I mean, I can't really convince you much more, to be honest, because again, it's just a lot of money, but I promise it will work this time compared to how this season's gone.
So Charlie's putting his job on the line, which I kind of rate as a convincing tactic. It's not swayed me fully, but I'm
No.
tempted to just so I can give you the sack. To be fair, Lewis, let's hear yours, mate.
Yeah, Charlie's basically just going to waste your money. My point would be, comparison with kind of Josh here, is that Xabi Alonso really only uses a central striker. He had Boniface at Bayer Leverkusen, or he would have Patrick Schick. He would never play both. And then at Real Madrid, he would only play Kylian Mbappe. We've kind of seen that as his mould of the formations and the identity of the team that he's used. So going in with him being the manager, my point would be that I'm playing to his style with the players that I'm bringing in, which is why I went with either Isak or Ekitike. Yes, I've had to, in hindsight, drop Wirtz, who is that influential kind of creative player. But as I've already said, he is someone that is interchangeable with kind of going out wide. And also, I feel like mine is the perfect option of, you can switch that formation if you would like, but I'm not spending too much money, but then I am bringing in the right personnel, and I have kind of belief in the players that I'm bringing in that are going to deliver for you.
I do like the centre back options you brought in, like Tapsoba or Van der Ven. Like, I think your defensive unit is stronger, but I can't really look past the not using Wirtz and the only using one of Isak and Ekitike when we spent this much money on him. Like, I think that's kind of the deciding factor for me. So
Can I add an extra point?
Yeah, go on, Josh, far away.
So I was taking your spot, pretend you're not spotting out, but in real life here, Ben, I think because of what we've known Liverpool's board have been tight in the past, like we don't normally chuck a load of money at it, and we have done it, it's gone shit. So I can't see Liverpool's board giving Xabi Alonso a job and going, look, you've got £253 million to spend, you've not got a lot because of what's gone on in the past. Thing. So I can't see him making a lot of signings.
Particularly when they've already bought two of his best players from his starting 11, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have articles though saying that if Xabi Alonso gets the job, then he's got a 5-man shortlist of 5 different positions and players that he'd bring in. So I don't know where the kind of how truthful that is, but it's suggesting that he is going to want 5 players, and that's his kind of request.
He can have his 5-man shortlist, but I'm paying him, so he'll dance to my tune.
I'm just telling you what Xabi's saying if you want to bring him in, so you might not want Xabi in the end.
No, he's already signed, mate. He's already signed. He's my dancing monkey. He'll do what I tell him. And what I'm telling him is to follow the plan of Josh Lucas, which is a truly, truly terrifying state. That Josh Lucas is the voice of reason, and is planning.
Voice for the voiceless.
Voice for the voiceless. Well, there you have it. That's our roundup of some plans for the next season for Liverpool. Yeah, let us know what you think was the best plan, and we'll catch you in a second for the quiz, though. Hello and welcome back to Hoof, where it's time for the quiz. And actually, we are continuing in a similar fashion because we're talking about Liverpool. Okay, because on Tuesday, Liverpool are hosting PSG, looking to overturn a 2-0 deficit from the first leg, trying to reach the semi-final stage for the first time since they reached the final in 2022. I forgot to speak there for a second. Now, the teams met in the round of 16 of 2018 with the shoe on the other foot, right? So Liverpool were in the lead this time. But what was the PSG lineup that day?
Oh,
In 2018, the round of 16, what was the PSG team? I'm not going to give you the Liverpool team because it's a piece of piss. I'm not going to lie to you. I think the only one you might get wrong is you might put Joel Matip over Joe Gomez. That's about it. Oh, actually, to be fair, Sturridge started over Firmino. You probably wouldn't have done that. But cheers for the Sturridge chance there, Josh.
no, it's not.
Audio listeners, Josh Lucas just did a Daniel Sturridge chance. So,
Are we allowed the formation?
it's a 4-3-3. It's a 4-3.
4-3-3.
It's a 4-3-3 for you. It says it's a 4-3-3 attacking, if that helps at all. But on here, it just looks like a holding midfielder and 2 centre mids. So, yeah, hell of a game this though. Ended 3-2 Liverpool. This game did 3-2 Liverpool. Goal from Sturridge, goal from Milner, goal from Firmino, and then obviously 2 goals for PSG as well, by some nondescript professional footballers, who I will not be sharing the names of. How are we getting on? Anyone?
Yeah,
Too bad.
Okay, Lewis is done. Josh, Charlie, how many names have we got down currently?
I've got 6 at the moment. There's some that are coming into my head, but it's taking
Okay.
a bit of time.
What about yourself, Josh?
I'm on 9.
You're on 9. Okay. Solid.
There's players that I can't get into my head.
Xherdan Shaqiri was on the Liverpool bench, by the way, if that helps. As was Simon Mignolet and Alberto Moreno. So
I'm a label Jack.
if that helps you think at all. Also, a player who I thought was going to be unbelievable when they signed him, Naby Keita, and then he just wasn't.
Where's
That was-
2018?
What was that?
I was going to say that, but like Charlie's Jan Diamende shout it wouldn't really work because that's proof of like, oh no, never mind, because Canate was proof it does work. So we'll carry.
What year did you say again?
2018, mate. 2018, round of 16.
God, who was in goal?
That is the question, mate. That is the question. I will tell you, there's a goalkeeper on the bench who I've never heard of for PSG. So take that as a clue if you want. There's also some classic names on the bench for PSG.
Oh, that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, same as one.
No, like in terms of if you said this guy, I'd be stunned because he's like a PSG like youth academy graduate.
Like Kevin Augustin.
No. Similar level though, I'd say. I'm gonna have to push you boys for time.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
done.
I've got 9 players, but I'm just going to stick with it. I can't think of fullbacks.
Okay, well, Lewis, you finished first, so you can go first, mate. Far away.
Alphonse Areola in there.
Okay.
I've gone Thomas Meunier, Thiago Silva, Marquinhos, and Luca Dean at left back.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone for a back three, which could be completely the wrong time periods, but Verratti, Thiago Motta, and Blaise Matuidi. And then I've gone for Angel Di Maria, Lucas Moura, and Edison Cavani.
Okay. Let me note your score down, and then we'll go over to Charlie.
Okay, well, goalkeeper, I know it's wrong, but I just thought hopefully it's a lucky guess. I went with Donnarumma. My 2 centre halves, I've gone with Marquinhos and Thiago Silva. Couldn't think of any fullbacks, so my 3 midfielders I've got as Choupo-Moting, Rabiot, and Thiago Motta. And then Mbappe on the right wing, Neymar on the left wing, and then Edison Cavani up front.
Okay. You've had a howler in there with Donnarumma. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be
That's-
right. I just had to put a name in.
That's horrid. Also, Choupo-Moting as a central midfielder is an interesting one, but maybe he's done it. I don't know. I've not
Like
watched
in
the
Sunday
game.
League with a lower numbers.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, one of those ones. Go on, Josh. Give us yours.
I've got Areola in net. Kehrer, he's called at right back, German. Marquinhos and Thiago Silva. Bernat at left back. Midfield 3 of Draxler, Verratti, and Danilo Pereira. And then a front 3 of Neymar, Mbappe, and Cavani.
Okay. Right. Would you believe it? I'm pretty sure you're all tied on 6.
No, okay.
So
I might look stupid with not having Neymar or Mbappe in, but because I didn't know if it's too early, so we're going to find out.
yeah, no, you do look stupid with that.
Yeah.
Thilo Kehrer is on the bench, as is Choupo-Moting, as is Draxler. The name I was saying that's a bit of a classic is Stanley and Soki, if anyone remembers him.
Yeah.
The PSG team that day was Alphonse Areola in goal, right back of Thomas Meunier, your centre back pairing Thiago Silva and Presnel Kimpembe. Then with Juan Bernat at left back. Okay, the midfield 3 is very rogue. It's Marquinhos as a holding midfielder. It's then Adrian Rabiot and Angel Di Maria as your centre mids. What's going on there? And then the front 3 is Mbappe, Neymar, and Cavani, as said. So I'm pretty sure that's 6 all. To be fair, Josh, you might have 7. I'm not too sure. Just run me through yours again, Josh.
Areola, Marquinhos,
Yeah.
Kehrer, Silva, Bernat, Draxler, Verratti, Danilo Pereira, Neymar, Mbappe, Cavani.
Yeah, Josh has 7.
Yes!
Josh is in a 1-point lead if he's going to hit. Danilo Pereira is a bit early for that as well. Okay.
VAR.
We move on to question 2, and it's about someone we've already mentioned today. It's about Krupi Jr., who actually scored his 10th Premier League goal of the season in Bournemouth's 2-1 win at the Emirates on Saturday, making it actually, like I say, his 10th goal of his debut campaign. Okay, now, who was the last teenager to achieve that feat in the Premier League? Was it Robbie Keane? Was it Wayne Rooney? Was it Alan Shearer or was it Raheem Sterling?
I've got my answer.
Who was
Yeah,
the
so
last teenager to score 10 goals minimum in their debut campaign? Josh, go first, mate.
Robbie Keane.
Charlie,
Robbie Keane.
Lewis.
Robbie Keane.
It is Robbie King.
We also have a BBC Sport Post.
Yeah.
To be fair, I didn't take it from BBC Sport Post. I took it from I think an Opta post. So there you go. Question 3. Crystal Palace's 3 goals against Fiorentina on Thursday put them joint top of the scorers charts in the UEFA Europa Conference League. But which team do they share this title with as it stands? Is it Fiorentina? Is it AEK Athens? Is it Shakhtar Donetsk? Or is it Rayo Vallecano? Which of those 4 teams are joint top scorers in the Conference League?
There's
Go on.
2 teams who I'm pretty confident would have been close to that, and I've got my answer.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Charlie, you can go first this time.
I'm going to go with Rayo Vallecano.
Lewis?
Shakhtar.
Josh?
I'm going to go Shakhtar.
It's Rayo Vallecano.
I was between.
Rayo Vallecano. Okay. It's very close, this quiz. It's very close. Let's go either way. You're all still in it. As we go into question 4, which 2 teams in the Premier League are yet to be awarded a single penalty this season? You get a point for each team.
Which
We've
2?
been awarded a penalty.
Yet to be awarded a penalty in the Premier League. You get a point per team.
I don't think we have.
A point per team.
One idea for one based off a rogue kind of fact.
I love a rogue fact. I'm gonna have to push you boys for time.
Right, yeah, I've got my 2.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Josh, have you got 2?
Yeah.
Lewis, you're gonna go first. Give me yours.
I think Tottenham, based on the fact they got on disallowed in the Sunderland game, is my only theory.
Okay.
And I'm going to go for Fulham.
Okay. Charlie?
But yeah,
I went with Everton and Tottenham.
Okay. And Josh?
I went with Everton and Burnley.
Okay. The correct answers are Aston Villa and Tottenham. Aston Villa and Tottenham, which means it's very close. As we go into the tiebreak, we go into the final question, not even a tiebreak. But Lewis is on 8, Josh is on 8, Charlie's on 9. So the likelihood of a draw here is incredibly likely, and I haven't prepped a tiebreak question, so please don't draw. Question 5. Since Mikel Arteta took charge of Arsenal in December 2019, his side has been most successful in September. On the flip side, April has been their trickiest month. But what is the Gunners' exact win percentage in April under Arteta? It's in April in his entire tenure. It's the closest to. Obviously, 5 points for bang on. What is their exact win percentage under Arteta in April?
Right.
I've got a random percentage. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only.
Everyone ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh, far away.
64.
64 you've gone with.
Oh God.
Okay, Lewis?
I've gone for like 38.7%.
Okay, he's gone for the. Are you going for 38 or 39? You got to give me one.
Pick a number.
39.
39. Charlie?
Well, I've gone lower. I've gone 32%.
Okay. I can reveal the correct percentage is 41, which means we do unfortunately have a tie.
Oh, no.
And I haven't prepped a tiebreak. So we do have an issue now. But I think I'm just going to give the win to Lewis because Charlie thinks Denzel Dumfries is a left back. So for that reason and that reason alone, Lewis Eady wins the quiz this week. Fair play, Lewis. What do you want to say to your adoring
My home field is what I want to say. Means a lot to win it in Mansfield.
Yeah.
But
We're so proud. We're so proud. And that's the end of the episode this week, to be fair. That is the end of the episode. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for joining me as well, lads, and being involved in my little role-playing session. It meant a lot. I'll go take this shirt and tie off now. I'm not wearing a shirt and tie for audio listeners. But yeah, we will catch you in the next episode. All the best. Ta-ra.